Sergeant, are you familiar with the Encyclopedia Britannica?
The greatest collection of book learning on earth, my dear pa always said.
That's as may be. I believe its articles on medicine are considered authoritative.
Next to God, they're all the truth there is, sir. Pa said so.
If you'd like to save the inspector's reputation from careening downhill and protect the yard from litigation for unlawful arrest, you should know of the latest research on epilepsy. Pay special attention to the sections on grand mal and psychomotor seizures. That man is sick.
Jensen, the man in the lockup, may be epileptic. Look up grand mal seizures in the EB and convey your findings to Inspector Lestrade.
Right away, Sarge.
God! Have the incarcerated gentleman cleaned up immediately and release him to his sister's custody. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Holmes. Another scandal here would be damaging.
You're finally ready to resume your duties, Lestrade?
I appreciate your assistance on that medical matter, Mr. Holmes, but the arch tone is out of order. What can I do for you?
Evidently nothing, even though there is more to the Diogenes disaster than the pathetic official examination has divulged.
Suspicions are your trade, Mr. Holmes. Proof pays the bills in police business.
Proof? I'll give you proof. If your people...
We wondered, Inspector, if...
I'm perfectly capable of speaking for myself, Watson. If you won't investigate the explosion further, you might at least assist me.
How?
Give me carte blanche at the explosion site and the morgue. Something sinister is going on, Lestrade, if only you had the wit to see it.
I will ignore the insult in deference to your fragile emotional state. If you want to waste your time, I won't stop you. But you'll excuse me if I don't squander my department's resources to gratify your overdeveloped and theoretic suspicions.
Without well-founded supposition, Lestrade, reason staggers and the mind dies. You might remember that. Will you provide some police protection from my brother?
Don't push, Mr. Holmes. We've had a mutually advantageous relationship over the years. I'd hate to... Thank you, Inspector. Shall we leave, Holmes?
Forbes, what happened after the explosion? Did you notice anything unusual?
I was stunned. Not myself for a few moments.
You saw no one on the street when you revived?
No one except yourselves.
My brother wondered if the fire brigade might have missed anything.
Nothing, Mr. Holmes. You've come in vain.
Any items or circumstances that seem not in accord with a gas explosion?
The brigade is satisfied that there's no evidence to the contrary.
Any odd or personal effects discovered?
No. Nothing of a private nature has been removed from the club. I'm sworn to protect members' property and I will perform my duty. I'll honour the inspector's request, the yard, CID and all. Respect for authority is the cornerstone of civilization. Must maintain discipline. Would have preferred a personal appeal.
Indeed, I'll tell him you felt slighted. He's sure to be mortified. Did you happen to spy any suspicious persons lurking about earlier?
I tolerate no loitering on my watch, Mr. Holmes. Members don't like it. If I so much as sniff a tradesman, I move them along sharpish.
Let's not tarry, Forbes. We'll go in now.
I warn you that it's dark and nasty inside.
That suits my mood down to the ground.
And I remind you, touch nothing.
Watson, where did we find Mycroft exactly?
It was just here, Holmes, beneath his portrait. You swept him up in your arms as if he were a child. Your strength amazed me.
Adrenaline, Doctor. Danger animates and strengthens as often as it paralyzes.
I've asked you not to touch club property. Put that back, if you please.
Forbes, my brother's snuff box is not included in your purview. Do not make yourself an unbearable nuisance.
I've asked you not to touch anything, Mr. Holmes. That's club property. Touch nothing, Mr. Holmes. I'll have to charge your brother an assessment. Mr. Holmes, I've told you, touch nothing.
Forbes, the lounge appears wrapped in morning bombazine.
It hardly matters, there's nothing to see.
You'll excuse me if I should come to a different conclusion.
Suit yourself. Remember, touch nothing. Club rules must be enforced, even in...
Please don't put yourself out. We can get on by ourselves.
You may think so. It's my job to monitor the activities of strangers.
Are you guarding the perimeter, Forbes?
This seems the best vantage point, Mr. Holmes.
Considering the upper story could collapse at any moment and crash down on our heads.
What? Oh, right, yes. Out of harm's way. Very unstable. Another reason to touch nothing.
Did the fire brigade uncover or remove any personal items from the room?
They briefly combed through the debris. Discovered ashes, wood, splinters, broken bricks.
A simple no would suffice. I'm reasonably familiar with the language. I don't suppose you have a bullseye lantern, Forbes.
As it happens, I do not.
I'm not surprised. Fortunately, we are not dependent on your effects. Forbes, were any of your own possessions lost in the blast?
Not that I know of. Have you found something of mine?
I'm not certain. Watson, what do your feline orbs espy?
Outlines, Holmes. No real details. The smoke plays tricks with the light.
Was your clock face near the grandfather, Watson?
It was, Holmes. How did you guess?
You know my methods, Doctor. I do not guess. I observe. I deduce. Watson, do you have a bullseye? It's as dark as a rent collector's heart over here.
I don't have mine, Holmes. Battery's gone. What do you need?
I'd like to shed some light on the situation rather than curse the darkness. Anything of significance, Watson?
Not that I can see, which isn't much.
I'd like more of what you found, or your skill in finding it.
I wouldn't call it skill, Holmes. It was dumb luck.
Most men's modesty is a sham or an excuse, Doctor. Your modesty becomes you.
Brother or no brother, you'll receive a bill for harm to that door. It's club property.
Has anyone worked on the gas lines in the last day or so?
Checked and bled by Midlands last week. All in perfect order. Like Inspector Lestrade says, gas accidents are the price of progress.
Depend on Lestrade for a cliché in lieu of exercising his brain. The Lectio Facilior is fine for paleography, but it won't do for logic. The man's reasoning powers are abysmal. Did Sir Hubert expire in his chair?
The old gentleman was lucky. Never knew what hit him.
Lucky? Is there any predicate to murder victim more inapt than lucky?
You can't prosecute the gas board for an accident.
Spare me your opinion, Forbes. He was murdered as surely as if he took a bullet to the brain. Have Sir Hubert's people been notified, Forbes?
He had no family, Mr. Holmes. Outlived them all. The Diogenes was kith and kin to him these many years. Good tipper he was. I'll miss him.
Your sentiment is touching. Come, Watson, let's carry on.
If we must, Holmes. This is a deuced gloomy place.
These timbers must be hewn.
I'm no lumberjack, Holmes, and we have no saw.
There's more than one way to fell a tree. Forbes, who relieves you when you're away from your post?
Always on duty, Mr. Holmes. The members have given me a room of my own.
Don't be obtuse. Surely you have bodily functions to attend to, tea breaks and so on?
I leave for a minute or two during the day. I have my 11s and tea at 4:30, with members' permission.
Do you remark anything odd about the entry, Forbes?
Well, it's burned and soaked with water, isn't it?
I mean, anything unexpected?
No, the place is a mess. I'll have to clean it up.
Did any strangers enter the club in the afternoon?
No one escapes my eye, Mr. Holmes. After the late post, a few guests arrived and left. All perfectly respectable gentlemen.
I'm sure they were, Forbes. Were any of them carrying a valise or a large package, anything of that sort?
Certainly not. The Diogenes don't cater to commercial travellers. I send them packing.
Impressions, Doctor?
It is difficult to be very observant in such conditions. I am surprised by the uneven nature of the damage. With a few structural exceptions, the easily flammable object suffered most.
Very astute, Watson. This fellow is too eager to assert his authority, Watson.
He's as willful as a mule, but not as smart. I wouldn't mind taking him down a peg if the opportunity arose.
Mycroft never travels far without his snuff-box.
Must have fallen from his pocket when he was struck down.
Unlikely. His other personal effects were undisturbed by the explosion.
What is your hypothesis?
Any speculation would be less than idle. I imagine it was blown in from somewhere. The lid might tell a story. I'll keep the box as a memento. If Forbes continues to be obstructive, Watson, will you distract him?
With pleasure. We can't have him hovering.
Listen for my sign. I'll start jabbering incoherently.
But how will I recognize the sign, Holmes?
I just said, oh, very amusing, Watson, very droll.
Mr. Holmes, I've told you, touch nothing.
Forbes truly is an intractable dunce, Watson. Be prepared for a signal.
With pleasure, Holmes. But please don't be premature. Make certain you have cause. I can't occupy him forever.
I hope
You'd be the
You've often said Billy is overmatched for self-defence.
Quite right, Doctor. Something more resolute is in order. Use your own judgment. Come along, Watson. The game's afoot.
Quite so, Holmes.
Forbes, I'd like, if you must, Mr.
Watson, might I have a word?
What is it, Holmes?
Do you see a way to dislodge that particular beam without loss of life or limb?
Remove it from a distance. But Forbes will be unhappy if you interfere with that pile.
Then he must be distracted. So much of the floor is enshrouded, Watson. Ideas?
How did the books and papers come to cover the room?
Not the direction I was headed, but good deduction. I should like to sift through the debris. Watson, I was just thinking of that embalmed armadillo.
Do tell, Holmes.
The military implications are momentous. Impenetrable armor plating, low to the ground. Indefatigable diggers. Perhaps they could be bred larger and taught to fire a cannon. I'll get on to the War Department, shall I? You might analyze the shelves. Was the destruction of the book selective or random, based on Babbage's principle of non-discriminating violent action?
As you say, Holmes.
Excellent, Watson, excellent.
Just a moment, Doctor. I'll superintend your activity. Mr. Holmes appears to have gone daft.
I could move... Here's the little darling, unexpected and therefore most interesting, but an expert would find it even more illuminating. I believe we...
I hope that you have taken more away from here than I. The fumes.
I hope you're satisfied.
You'd be the last... A person in your position should not be guided by prejudice, matron.
You've never thought much of my judgment or my authority, Miss...
You'll note I'm authorized to investigate matters relating to the Diogenes explosion.
It's nothing to me. The inspector has no standing among my charges, the quick or the dead. In any case, this is a solicitation for cooperation, not an order.
Excuse me, sir. What is your ailment?
Stagnation at lungs. I'm weak.
Then why are you languishing in this draughty hall?
They're going to stitch up my head what I bashed when I fainted. So I got to take me chances. But if I get this new influenza, I'm for it.
Sir, how long have you been unattended in this wretched hall?
For bleeding ever, if you'll excuse the expression.
Matron, why is this patient forced to languish in this pestiferous hall?
This hall is scrubbed daily. The patient and his insignificant ailments wait on the convenience of one of our most distinguished physicians.
By the time that worthy arrives, he may be able to add pneumonia or influenza to the man's symptoms.
Tend to your own knitting, Mr. Holmes. We will attend to ours. Confine yourselves to this.
Have you conceived of a perfectly gruesome method for disposing of the brute?
Nothing so permanent, alas, but a diversion might serve us. She can't attend to her patients and her paperwork at once.
Watson, I'm grateful that mischief is part of your makeup. The invalid might assist us. Would you mind if I pushed your gurney to a warmer and more sanitary spot?
As long as I'm on it, I couldn't care less. Any change of scenery would be appreciated.
That patient must be retrieved. I won't forget this. You've earned trouble for yourselves.
Watson, I think we should take this opportunity to explore the bowels of Bart.
I'm with you, Holmes. I wouldn't want to face her alone.
Dr. McCabe, might I have a moment of your valuable time?
Not so valuable that I can't afford to spend it as I choose.
Can you tell me how Sir Hubert Fortescue died?
You know better than to ask without authorization, Mr. Holmes. Thank you. It never gives me pleasure to deny or ignore your inquiries, Mr. Holmes, but things must be done properly.
How many cadavers do you process in a given day?
Too many. Please excuse me. I'm up to my elbows in work.
Not a terribly felicitous expression, considering your vocation.
Perhaps, but accurate. Your visit had a point, I suppose? Besides...
Excuse me, Doctor, I was rude.
Your curiosity has overcome your judgment, Mr. Holmes. Please do not investigate matters for which you have no brief.
Can the stench of carbolic be harmful to one's health, Watson?
You're overly sensitive, Holmes. A morgue must be disinfected regularly. I rather enjoy it.
Chacun son goût, as my French relations say. The rankest abattoir can be no worse. The morgue and a dental office have much in common, Watson.
You mean that one ardently hopes to avoid visits to both?
Exactly. One feels fortunate to emerge and vows to repeat the experience only under duress. Your findings on Sir Hubert, please, Doctor.
The official cause of death was asphyxiation. There is evidence of extensive brain trauma.
And the laceration on his head?
Occurred before death. It is not, however, the source of the brain injury.
Typically precise and pertinent, Doctor.
Flatterer. Now that you've had your way with me, you'll be off to the new ward, just like Dr. Watson. You'll pass from my morgue like snow in April.
Perhaps. But we all must travel this way again. We are all yours in the end, Doctor. Might I see Sir Hubert's clothes?
Help yourself. You know where I keep them.
Might I examine the body?
Yes, I'll try not to take your request as a criticism of my performance.
This brings us a little further along, Watson.
Not for the first time, Holmes. You have lost me. What do you mean?
The manner of Sir Hubert's death is a key.
My friend, perhaps you should rest. You're starting to ramble.
Forgive me. Sir Hubert's death confirms your discovery at the club. The explosion's the important thing. What can you tell me about the burns on his back, Doctor?
Mostly first degree. His tweed coat is as heavy as a horse blanket.
Have you conclusions about the nature of the fire which killed him?
I suspect a flash fire. Very hot, oxygen-devouring, but its heat was not sustained.
One that could burn convenient fuel, but move too fast to consume heavy furniture, and, forgive me, flesh?
Precisely.